Do you watch? Do you see a lot of film?
We don't want, like, people automatically assumed, like, when I went down there and Jay Foreman, like, that we were just, like, pounding, like, okay, hey, Garrett, this was 1997. This was what happened. No, that's not what it's about. Like, and I don't want them to be, thinking of those championship teams. These guys are going to write their own story, their own path, and now they have the capability of doing that, right? I'm excited to see what they do. But I think it was easier to come in and have guys like Trev Alberts or, Eddie Stewart. Raymakers and all these Keneal. You had established guys. And even, when Danny Noonan and guys like that would come back and you had people to kind of, model your game after and how they carry themselves. Like, these guys, they didn't necessarily have that. There hasn't been that same amount of success. There aren't the same amount of players, who achieve that sort of success. So they didn't. So that's where I felt like, and with Scott and I, when we talked about it, like, that's where I think that I can have the biggest impact. Like, in just how you approach the day-to-day. Because it's one thing when those guys are up there telling them to do it. It's another thing when someone who doesn't have necessarily, like, the official coach title, right? Like, I can get after, Garrett, I can get after those guys, but I can also, kind of shoot the shit with them too and do a lot of stuff that maybe, some assistants can't. Tell him some stories.
What's it like?
He knows what he can tell and what he can't tell.
He told the story, the Christian fight. What other stories has he told you? You walk around going, that guy's effing crazy. That guy, how is that guy alive?
No, yeah, I mean,
he understands. He actually understands, and that's why I knew I loved him, right? Because when a guy understands, like, the shit that we do and the way that we think, then right?
Yeah,
like,
just a little outside the box, but. Yeah, no assistant coach when Ty Robinson, Nash, and me are on the ground after 13 plays and we're laying on the ground asking for water. Nobody's gonna come up and put a dip in your lip, like. so he can do that. I mean, Shins might do that, but yeah, he comes out. He's like, here you go. So he takes care of us, and he can do, and he can relate to us as players because he's been through fall camp. He's been through those emotions and those fights. He knows what that is. He's played for this university. He knows what that means. And as a kid that grew up, hear stories about this guy all the time. This, you walk in a room and you sit up straight because he's in there. I would rather die than let this guy down. He's not even on my team.
Yeah.
Just same thing with my head coach. Same thing with my DC. Just like I was saying, those relationships that you have, those guys, they're my dads.